Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central TV. It's time for news now. I am Judith, Atibi. The top stories at this hour. Federal High Court grants #End Bad Governance protesters bail. UN warns of cholera outbreak, malnutrition in Maiduguri amid floods. Sudanese authorities raise concerns over cholera outbreak. We'll bring you details shortly. Let's begin by telling you that the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has granted 10 million naira bail on each to the 10 members of the #End Bad Governance protesters who were charged with attempt to overthrow President Bola Tinubu between August 1st and 4th this year. While delivering ruling in their bail applications, Justice Emeka Nweti said the protesters must produce sureties who must be property owners in Abuja and must deposit documents of the properties to the court, in addition to swearing to affidavit of means. The court equally ordered the defendants to produce one surety each who are based in Abuja and must be willing to deposit their international passports and 3 recent passport photographs with the court. In the meantime, a peaceful protest was held at the National Human Rights Commission NHRC office in Lagos. Civil society groups as well as concerned citizens gathered to voice their demands for justice, transparency, and the urgent intervention of the National Human Rights Commission NHRC to free unlawfully incarcerated citizens and to put a halt to what they call the ongoing assault on democratic rights in Nigeria. Take a look.
The protest played host to civil rights groups and activists who expressed their frustration over alleged human rights violations and the government's failure to address them adequately.
Journalists are being abducted by the DSS. Press freedom is violently and massively repressed. We are saying enough is enough. We want to send a note of warning to the government that no matter the tyranny, we are going to keep protesting.
Why we are even crying that the 618 naira that we used to buy is even expensive. The government has increased it to between 855 naira to 1,500 naira.
Please, this suffering is too much. We are only crying that there is hunger in the land and you are arresting us. Today, these people tomorrow can be me. And you're killing us.
Their demands are simple. They are demanding freedom for Adaramoye Michael Lenin, Mosiu Sadiq, Akonde Daniel, Angel Love Innocent, and all incarcerated Nigerian citizens arrested since the first week of August 2024 and have been locked up in Kuje and Suleja prisons.
Well, we are somewhat relieved that we have been able to get bail. We think that that also confirms what we have been saying, that these people are innocent, because if they are not, treason charge is not something that a court would usually give a bail for. So it's a confirmation that these charges are simply contrived charges, very false charges, to just call a dog a bad name in order to hang it. But then also, giving them a bail does not mean that the case has been arrested. And that's why we have to now demand that all these false charges must be quashed, but also the hundreds and thousands of others who are also still in detention must now be free.
The protests remained peaceful, with demonstrators carrying placards and chanting slogans as the coordinator of the National Human Rights Commission gave assurance that action will be taken.
And we've assured them that the National Human Rights Commission is already looking into the issue. Even though the matter is in court, we know that the matter is in court, but we are still using our extra judicial power to investigate the matter and to see whether we can come in and make sure that they are released even without going through all the trials, depending on what case they have against each one of them. So if there's really no case against them, as in no criminal action could be proven against them, I believe that they will be released soon.
The government is pressing serious charges, including treason and terrorism, against the remanded organizers and activists from the End Bad Governance protests at the beginning of August. Wednesday, the Federal High Court in Abuja granted bail to 10 end bad governance protesters who were arraigned and detained on charges of treason and attempting to destabilize the country. The bail is granted to the defendants in the sum of 10 million each, with a surety in like sum. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Bettina Unwili.
And now to discuss this further, we're joined by the National Secretary, Youth Rights Campaign, Francis Nwapa. Francis, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, I have to ask for your reaction or response to the court's condition for bail. The requirements is for sureties to own, sureties that own property in Abuja to submit their documents or deposit their documents to their international passport, and also the sum of 10 million naira. What's your take on these conditions?
Well, thank you. This has become a trend, in the judiciary, where Nigerians who are accused of committing no offense in the first instance, or those who committed little offenses, are being, leveled with high bail conditions. It has become a trend. I remember in 2016, a young man, an 18-year-old young man, Badebo, who was accused of stealing 26,000 naira, was hanged down with a bail condition of 200,000 naira. And another AGK, 39-year-old businessman, who was accused of stealing 6 bottles of assorted drinks, was also given a bail condition of 500,000 naira. But more so, this has not been the same with those who are exposed politically to have embezzled public funds. Of course, the case of Thursday Orubebe is very fresh at heart, who was accused of having stolen about 2.3 billion, and he was given a bail bond of 10 million naira. The case of Dasuki is also fresh, who was accused of charged for $2.1 billion, and was given a bail. It was not even given. He was released on self-recognition, and this has become a trend in the Nigerian judiciary, and this has to stop. And people have to be held accountable for all of this.
And how do you view the charges of treason, conspiracy, and inciting to immunity that the defendants are now facing? Do you think these charges are justified?
It's not just. There is no evidence of that, and that is why they were granted the bail. There is no basis. There was no charges. It's just an attempt to continue to stifle. Dissenting voices. There is no evidence. Treason charges are not charges that you just go to court and you get a bail. You get a bail. There are no evidences. If there were evidences from the first day of them being abducted by the IRT, they would have been charged the next day. But they kept them incommunicado for 28 days. Today is the 35th day in detention for nothing. Nigerians are being punished. These protesters are being charged and punished for nothing. And let me also say that out of the 49 persons who the Justice Emeka Nwite gave detention order for, only 10 were charged. And that means we still have 39 protesters who were given detention, who detention order were given for, that have not been charged at all. They are just being locked up for nothing. And so we also have, minors who have been locked up for nothing.
Francis,
and these things, yes.
The court has ordered that the defendants refrain from participating in any public rallies or protests during the trial. What steps do you think the protest organizers should take now or plan in addressing the court orders or even supporting the defendants in meeting the bail conditions?
Well, as we speak, our lawyers are making effort to perfect the bail condition so that the nine protesters who were granted bail would be out. But beyond that, we also have other persons who are also in detention, whom our efforts we must concentrate effort in ensuring that they are out. We have Daniel Akonde, who was picked up in his church in the presence of his wife and his 3-year-old baby. He's still in detention, incommunicado. He has not been charged with anything. So these are areas beyond seeking meeting the bail condition of the ones that have been granted bail. We are also intensifying effort to ensure that other comrades, other protesters who are currently being locked up are also released. We are also calling on the federal government to drop all of these.
Francis, we seem to have lost you there. Speaking earlier was Francis Nwapa. He is the National Secretary for Youth Rights Campaign, and he joined us here to talk about the protesters of the #End Governance that have now been put on bail to pay 10 million naira and so much when it comes to the surety. We'll switch gears away from that now, as the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Gabriel Dinwan, has sworn in the remaining members-elect of the Assembly. Now, the 5 new members, who are all members of the All Progressives Congress, were adjudged to be winners of the 2023 elections, but for some uncertainties were not sworn in since November of same year until today. News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe was there and gives us the details. Take a look.
Wednesday morning at the temporary House of Assembly complex, Old Government House, Rayfield, members of the Plateau State House of Assembly reconvened for the Speaker to swear in the 5 APC members who, despite their victory at the appeal court last year, were not sworn into the House. 7 of them had gone to court to challenge the PDP members who were initially declared winners of the 2023 elections. After their victory, 2 of them were sworn in separately. This for sure generated so much chaos in the state. With the swearing in of these 5 members today, 22 out of the 24 lawmakers are members of the APC. Only the Speaker is of the Young People's Party and another member of the Labour Party in a PDP-governed state to fully represent their various constituencies as contained in the oath of allegiance they took.
I am faithful and bear true allegiance
to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The Speaker, who remains the youngest in the House and also the youngest Speaker among his counterparts in other houses of assembly in Nigeria, had this to say.
These have dust all the allegations, the noise on the street that some constituents have been denied. By this, I believe you expect nothing than representation from the various constituents and voice from various constituents, and we will speak with one voice now as Plateau Parliament to advocate for ministerial slot for Plateau State. And my only charge for them is let them be good ambassadors of Plateau State House of Assembly as they represent their various constituencies effectively.
These new members will now contribute their quota to improve the lives of the people of the state.
It's true that the 5 of us make up the full complement of the Plateau State House of Assembly. So all we will do is to come and add bite, to make it robust, to make it enriched, to bring to bear our own bundle of experiences.
The new members include Mark Sunday, representing Jos North West constituency, one-time Speaker of the Assembly, Yakubu Sanda, for Pengana constituency, and Dachung Moses from Riom constituency. Others are Meyaki Bala, SAN, and Owen Dagogot, representing Kwampan South and Kwampan North constituencies, respectively. The House also adjourned plenary to October 4. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyonwe.
And watching news now on News Central TV. After the break, the Speaker of the Plateau House of Assembly will join us to discuss more on the swearing-in of the 5 new members. After the break, stay with us. And you're welcome back. Following the new swearing in of the 5 APC members to join the Plateau House of Assembly, we're now joined by the Speaker of the House, Gabriel Diwan. Gabriel, many thanks for joining us today. Appreciate you for doing this with us. Let me start with the delay. What were the reasons for the delay in swearing in the remaining 5 APC members of the Plateau House of Assembly?
Good evening, listeners. Good evening, Nigerians. Actually, there's nothing strange about the delays of the swearing of the members elect. As I have said earlier, some months back, you know, this is democracy, and in democracy, we have different arms of government with different roles to play in ensuring democracy strive. Sometime November last year, a court of appeal declared members elect, and some of my members were removed, which as a speaker, it was well acknowledged. But as an independent arm of government, the legislature will also have some procedures to be adhered to be followed, some bureaucratic processes to be followed. As a speaker, my only role, my only function to be performed is to administer out of office to the members when their name has been forwarded to me by the bureaucrats that they have fulfilled their obligations or satisfy all the requirements to be honorable members. Perhaps it's on that note that some months back, as far back as April, those who have met all the requirements, about 9 of them, immediately I was contacted that they have met up all the requirements. I showed them in. Sometimes 2 months back, another member submitted all his credentials and everything was done. I saw him in. So for me, basically there's nothing behind it apart from the delays on the fact that the members were not so fast about submitting their credentials and doing the bureaucratic processes.
So delay with procedure and due process. Right. So a delay with procedural and due process. So, I mean, with the inclusion of these 5 APC members, how would it affect the current composition and power or balance of power within the Plateau House of Assembly?
Well, you know, the issue of balance of power in the Plateau House of Assembly, I don't see there's anything strange about it. The leadership or the power of the House is an exclusive decision of the members. And in the laws guiding the House of Assembly, we don't know political parties in the Assembly. All we know is that we know members representing various constituencies. Our law stated it clearly. Any member who is duly elected and been administered out of office, we have equal right, equal responsibility. Perhaps anybody can become a leader in the House as far as the members are comfortable with the person and they have the endorsement and trust of the members. So there's no cause for alarm now.
Now, right. So you are the Speaker of the House, 5 new additional members. Now everything seems to be aligned and, you know, the way forward. Let me ask you, being the Speaker and by that the head, what is the people of Plateau State and by extension Nigerians hope to see in the coming days from the House of Assembly in Plateau?
So far so good. Since I became Speaker sometime last year in November, the world can bear me witness. We have had a productive assembly, despite the political challenges, the political clashes. So with this swearing in of the remaining 5 members, we have a complete House of Assembly. So the Nigerians should expect nothing from the House of Assembly of Plateau apart from a productive representation and people-oriented bills for the benefit of Plateau people and Nigeria at large. You know, the situation up on the Plateau is a situation that have never happened anywhere. All of us in that complex, in that hallowed chamber, were opposite of the executive because our governor is of the PDP and all of us in the House of Assembly are of the opposition parties, 22 APC members, myself of the YPP and my colleague of the Labour Party. But we have all agreed, before political parties, we are all bona fide citizens of Plateau. We have all agreed to work together for the collective good of Plateau State because we all struggle for power, all because of the well-being of our Plateau people. And for me and my colleagues, we have agreed that pre-election matters have come and gone. Now it's about post-election matters or interests. And post-election matters and interests are all about the people and good governance. And good governance don't know party. Good governance don't know religion. Good governance only know people, and we are people of Plateau. Myself, the APC members, the Labour Party member, and the governor and his cabinet in the PDP. So what join us and bind us together is Plateau heritage, and we work together in synergy to promote Plateau of our dream for the benefit of generation coming after us.
All right. Well, I mean, synergy and working together for the better good and the greater good of the people of Nigeria is very important. But once again, Gabriel, many thanks for doing this with us. Gabriel Diwan is the Speaker of the Plateau House of Assembly. Once again, thank you. Switch gears from Plateau now, and this time the All Progressives Congress has attributed the current economic challenges in Nigeria to the failure of administrations prior to President Bola Tinubu to implement bold economic reforms. In a statement, the party's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Morka, said the inaction of past governments was responsible for the current country's economic state and the hardship now faced by Nigerians. Morka's statements or comments came in response to criticism from Saliu Lukman, a former member of the APC National Working Committee, who blamed both the Muhammadu Buhari administration and the current government for not meeting the expectations of Nigerians. While acknowledging the economic difficulties, Morka emphasized that the sacrifices Nigerians are enduring are necessary to rebuild and stabilize the economy. And now to discuss this, we're joined by political analyst Obatola Jonathan. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on. Interesting statements there by the Publicity Secretary there for APC. But what is your assessment of his claims that previous administration failed to implement bold economic reforms? Jonathan, we seem to have issues with your audio. If you can help us to fix your audio, we cannot hear what you're saying.
Yes, thank you for having me. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, please go ahead.
Thank you for having me. The statement from Felix Morka, the shifting of the ruling All Progressive Congress, is something that is very shameful and very insensitive. Nigerians choose the All Progressive Congress this time around because we believe that they have the capacity to solve problems. We do not choose or elect this government to come and give excuses. We elected them to solve and surmount the challenges confronting the nation. So calling the Nigerian people to tell them that the hard economic realities now is based on the fact that previous administration do not take responsibility is just shifting the goalpost. It is just shifting the blame game and not accepting responsibility at this point in time that the APC is in charge of the nation's economy. Whatever that is happening in this country today, the people we should hold responsible are the leaders, and the leaders that form the government at this present time is the ruling All Progressive Congress. This happened during the President Muhammadu Buhari administration, when they were saying the PDP has wreaked havoc and they cannot solve all of this problem in 4 years. Nigerian people gave them another 4 years, and they couldn't do anything than to continue to, print money in all manner, up to 17 trillion, to fund budget deficit and to ways and means that was illegal. And that is part of the problems or part of those things that brought us to where we are today. So we choose the APC to solve problems and not to give us flimsy excuses.
Jonathan, one of the things that this current administration has done is this argument or rhetoric that Nigerians, the economic hardship or current economic hardship that Nigerians are currently facing is a necessary sacrifice for potential long-term economic recovery. What would you say to that argument? In your opinion, is it true, or are there alternative strategies that could be pursued than letting the entirety of the nation go through such dire times?
Yes, I've listened to the president most times when he's talking, and he has told Nigerians that he's comparing, our state now to when a woman wants to give birth, that it will come with pain, and at the end of the day, we are going to celebrate. But at the same time, I want the ruling elite to understand that even during childbirth, if the doctors or the nurses are not very careful, we've seen people lose their life during delivery. Absolutely. Nigerians are going through a lot of hardship today. Most citizens cannot feed on 3 square meal. You know, the cost of living is becoming extremely high, that even the ease of doing business is no longer there. Businesses are folding up. And the president and the ruling elite must be sensitive to the plight of the nation. Today, Nigerian people are not interested in what is happening along the Calabar and Lagos corridor. We are not interested any longer in infrastructure. Nigerians just want to live a good life, be able to eat, be able to trade and do businesses in their own country. So regardless of the achievement this government we want to record in infrastructure, if Nigerians cannot live healthy, if they cannot eat 3 or even 2 times in a day, if it is becoming difficult for them, to get transport to their offices, then this present administration will be score 0. Because we've not seen the ruling elite taking responsibility. We've not seen them also taking sacrifices on behalf of the country. The legislators, the executive arm of government, they are earning much more. The president is buying private jets. Yes, it's good. It's good for him, but you should see that why that private jet is good for him, Nigerians also deserve to live a decent life.
Well, I mean, we wait to see. One question that we always ask is the implications of these economic reforms. They've asked for patience. Do Nigerians have patience? That's a bigger question. But again, Jonathan, many thanks for doing this with us. I appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll switch gears now to give you an update on the upcoming Edo elections. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has upheld Olumide Akpata as the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Edo State. In June, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja dismissed a suit seeking to void the nomination of Akpata as the Labour Party candidate in the September 21st election. In the judgment, Justice Omotosho upheld the arguments by Akpata's lawyer, Johnson Usman, that the plaintiffs were without the legal right to institute the suit. To this end, the court held that his case was premature in law and could not be entertained on the ground that conditions precedents were not met. In the meantime, Governor Godwin Obaseki has expressed serious concerns over the continuous arrest and harassment of People's Democratic Party chieftains in Edo State ahead of the upcoming gubernatorial election on September 21st. Obaseki cautioned that the police's unchecked actions could potentially lead to a statewide crisis, which could have far-reaching and destabilizing effects on the country. Speaking to protesters at the government house in Benin City, who gathered to voice their displeasure over the police's actions, Obaseki stated that a local government chairman was also arrested in connivance with the opposition party in the state to intimidate members of the PDP. Obaseki revealed that he has contacted the Inspector General of Police for urgent intervention. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has affirmed its readiness for the upcoming Edo State governorship election set for September 21st, 2024. Speaking at a stakeholders meeting in Benin City on Wednesday, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu reassured political parties and candidates of the Commission's commitment to conducting a credible and peaceful poll. Yakubu noted that the Commission has finalized most of the necessary arrangements ahead of the election. He also approved, or rather provided, an update on voter registration, saying Edo now boasts of over 2.6 million registered voters. He called on all stakeholders to ensure the election process is peaceful and orderly. Still staying in Edo State, the Edo State chapter of the Association of Local Governments in Nigeria has called on relevant authorities to urgently investigate the arrest and detention of its member, the chairman of the Ishan West local government area of the state, who is currently in the custody of the Nigerian police. The association, while condemning the arrest, accused the All Progressives Congress of using state police or state power, to intimidate and arrest members of the People's Democratic Party in the state. Our correspondent Idong Joseph filed the report. Take a look.
These protests by women from various local government areas of Edo State, southern Nigeria, is coming a few days after the Esan West local government chairman of the state was arrested and detained by the police, following an alleged disruption of his ward strategic meeting for the upcoming governorship poll. Some of his colleagues and members of the People's Democratic Party accused the All Progressive Congress for the attack and his prolonged detention without trial.
It is disheartening to know that instead of engaging in a peaceful campaign, the All Progressive Congress, APC, appears to be resorting to violence and intimidation tactics.
While condemning his detention by the police, they called for urgent investigation and his unconditional release.
ACON urgently calls upon the relevant agencies, including the Attorney General, the Federation, Commissioner of Police, Edo State, the AIGs of 5, and all concerned security authorities to take immediate action in investigating and bringing the perpetrators of this heinous act to justice.
However, the police in the state says that the council chairman was taken to the state's criminal investigation department for initial questioning over an argument, but was later discovered that there were other criminal charges against him.
The state CID, where we discovered the investigation that it was even earlier before now, we had other questions against him. So people from our men from FID came and told us that look, that man had earlier been looked for wanted, and so there was that need for them to take him along so they can comprehensively investigate his matter. That was how he was moved to Abuja.
The Association of Local Government in Nigeria has also accused the APC of attacking supporters of the PDP ahead of the poll, saying it is a clear violation of democratic rules.
And now to update on the flood in Borno. The United Nations has raised concerns over the potential outbreak of cholera in the internally displaced persons camps in Maiduguri, Borno State, following severe flooding in the region. According to a report by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, immediate needs include food protection, as well as shelter and access to clean water. The report said some water sources have been contaminated, increasing the risk of disease outbreaks, including cholera. Flood-affected areas in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states are also grappling with the food and nutrition crisis affecting 4.8 million people. Among them, 230,000 children are at risk of severe acute malnutrition. Still on flooding, several communities in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa state capital, have been submerged after relentless downpours from Tuesday through Wednesday. The floods affected areas including Azikoro, Ekeki, Okaka, Swali, Basia, Amarata, and Uvom, leaving residents in a state of anxiety. The rising waters of the Ekpi Creek and River Non have compounded the crisis, heightening fears that this year's floods may be particularly devastating. The federal government was also assured a warning about the risks posed by increasing water levels across various states. In Bayelsa, a state sitting 6 feet below water, or rather sea level, and prone to floods, the situation is particularly critical. And now to health matters. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed 8 new cases of Mpox in the country, with fresh cases recorded in Gombe, Plateau, and Akwa Ibom State. So far, 67 cases have been confirmed in 23 states, and the FCT out of 1,031 suspected cases from 35 states and the FCT. This was disclosed during a press briefing in Abuja organized by the Director General of NCDC, Judith Idris. On cholera, the agency said it has recorded 141 suspected cases and 1 death, with a case rate of 0.7% fatality in Katsina, Lagos, Kano, Jigawa, and Adamawa State. So far, 216 deaths have been recorded from a total of 7,663 suspected cases in the country. And watching news now on News Central TV. Coming up, Sudanese authorities raise concerns over cholera outbreak. We'll bring you details after the break. Join us again. welcome back. The cholera outbreak in Sudan, particularly Kassala, Gandaraf, and River Nile states, is worsening. According to the Ministry of Health, more than 5,000 cases of cholera and 191 deaths have been reported. Although Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF, has deployed several centers to treat patients. Prince Juma Safari, its medical coordinator in Sudan, does not believe that the situation is under control. In August, Sudanese authorities declared a cholera outbreak, and by the second half of the month, weekly cases of the disease increased fourfold. Sudan's decimated health system already struggles with increasing child malnutrition, high number of war-wounded, and regular cases of preventable diseases.
Now, we cannot say that today the situation is under control. We still have a lot of challenges. Many patients arrive from everywhere. And currently in the CTC now, we have 261 patients. And still now we continue to receive new admissions, come in critical state. And for us to save this patient, it becomes very difficult because they come with gasping, and then to save those patients, it's very difficult. So today, there is many reasons. The first one is access of water. There is no access of water in terms of quality and quantity of water. The second one is the problem of sanitation inside the IDPs camp, refugees camp, and also in the community. Other factors that we cannot ignore here, it is regarding the situation of the population today. So here in Kassala, there is many refugees, there is many IDPs. So all these factors gathering, they favorize the outbreak.
Victims of obstetric violence are calling for protection and for obstetric violence to be recognized as a form of gender-based violence, GBV. Now, obstetric violence is a form of structural GBV which occurs in healthcare facilities such as assault and neglect during childbirth, as well as forced or coerced medical procedures such as sterilization or C-sections when women seek health services during pregnancy and birth. Despite constitutional guarantees and international commitments to uphold women's rights, instances of obstetric violence persist, undermining undermining maternal health outcomes and perpetuating gender inequality. Meanwhile, South Africa is among other countries that require proper legislation and policy to be put in place.
So when I was 17, I was sterilized. My uterus was stolen, and I'm using the word stolen because I was not told. I only discovered that I didn't have a uterus 11 years. And it's been quite a number of years to this day. I still don't know why I was sterilized. Gender equality, they are failing us as we were victimized in the public hospital, but they never do anything about it. We've been everywhere. We knock every door. Like even our government, they are failing us. We've reported everywhere. Every time when we come to this conference, we are telling them about our situation. They act like it's the first time they heard about it, but we've been speaking about this like for years. We've been even in our big offices for public protector, even the department know about our case. They also failing us. They're not doing anything. You go to the lawyer will attend the case, will be happy about the case. After 2 months, the lawyer will tell you that I'm not going to take over the case because there's no file in hospital and everything. So we always expect that Commission Gender
It's now 23 years since terrorists struck at the World Trade Center in New York, bringing down the Twin Towers and killing thousands in the process. Similar attacks in other parts of the U.S. that same day on September 11, 2001 also claimed many lives. In remembrance of the tragic incident, the U.S. is honoring the memories of those who lost their lives at what is today known as Ground Zero. Attending the event are family members of the victims of the attack, President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, former President Donald Trump, and many sympathizers. The recent implementation of the 50 Naira electronic money transfer levy (EMTL) on fintech transactions has ignited considerable debate and worry among Nigerians. Beginning September 9th, 2024, fintech companies will be required to deduct this fee from every transaction exceeding 10,000 naira. Now, this mandatory change, mandated by the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS), expands the previously bank-exclusive EMTL to encompass all fintech transactions. While fintech firms assert that the fee goes entirely to the federal government, economists express concerns that it may deter digital transactions and also hinder innovation within the fintech industry. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO of Asha Investments Limited, shared his insights on Business Edge about the government's approach. Take a look.
They're not ingenious measures. I mean, they are measures that they just come out of it and they just come up and just tell us this is what they want to do. These are not ingenious measures. Somebody said we think out of the box, but these days we are thinking in the cloud. The government is not even thinking out of the box, the purpose of thinking in the cloud. These are just means of just getting revenue. I keep saying that levies on businesses are not the best. In a situation whereby the tax reform committee is working and reducing levies on the informal sector, which these fintech companies practically one of those sectors. And here you are again saying those levies comes from, and we're saying we want to reduce levies, want to make sure that we just pay taxes. And today you are saying this, tomorrow. So it just shows the lack of synergy in terms of policy direction. The FIRS is going one way, looking at revenue. I mean, they are so excited that they've increased revenue. In the first quarter, they've had about 1.5 trillion or 1.5 billion compared to last year, and we're excited. The Minister for Finance also is telling us that revenue to the three-tier government will share about 1.9 trillion. But we are not seeing this effect on the economy. And when you think about levies in this kind of a sector that is one of the most patronized sectors, especially when you're talking about the unbanked, and that is what that has been.
Team Nigeria gold medalist in the powerlifting at the just concluded 2024 Paris Paralympics Games, Folashade Oluwafemiayo, has hinted she plans to defend her record in the women's up to 86 kg category at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Her remarkable lift of 167 kg not only broke her previous world record in the women's 86 kg powerlifting or powerlifting category. In an exclusive interview on News Central's In the Game program, Folashade shared her ambitious plans for the 2028 Paralympics. Take a look.
The grace of God, because I'll keep on training. I'm still going back to my training ground. So I have to buckle up because I've set a record there, which other countries too will be going for it. So I have to go back to training so that in the next 4 years, by the grace of God, we'll be there together.
And that is the face of a champion, and a persistent and relentless champion at that. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Federal High Court has granted #EndBadGovernance protesters bail. The UN has warned of cholera outbreak, malnutrition in Maiduguri amid floods. And we also told you that Sudanese authorities have raised concerns over a cholera outbreak. Now remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, or stream us live on YouTube. And thanks for watching. I am Judith, Atibi.